Max ended up in a situation he never expected. He realized he had gotten his mom's close friend pregnant. She was older, confident, and naturally attractive, and that presence had completely messed with his judgment. The way she carried herself, especially those long legs under dark stockings, often caught his attention more than it should have. At that time, he had just gone through a breakup and wasn't thinking clearly. He had drunk more than he should have, and everything that followed felt like a blur. He couldn't even recall who crossed the line first, only that things went too far that night. When he woke up the next day, she was gone, and it almost felt like a strange dream. But not long after, he received a call that confused him. Someone urgently told him that a woman named Jiang Wan was about to give birth and that he needed to come immediately. At first, he thought it made no sense. Why would a well-known professor like Jiang Wan have anything to do with him? It sounded like a scam. However, the caller turned out to be a nurse who explained that his number was listed as the emergency contact. That made him pause, and without wasting time, he rushed to the hospital to figure out what was going on. When he got there, Jiang Wan was already in a hospital bed, looking weak and worn out, though her natural beauty was still obvious. She was quietly holding her stomach, wondering to herself if the person she was waiting for would actually show up. Meanwhile, Max took a cab and headed straight to the hospital. When he reached the 5th floor, he was shocked to see his own mother standing outside. He asked what she was doing there, clearly confused. She told him not to ask too many questions and said she was helping a friend, handing him a bunch of bags to carry since she was tired from taking the stairs. Then suddenly, she paused and realized something didn't add up. She pointed out that it was a maternity hospital and questioned why he was there. Her expression changed quickly as suspicion hit her. She demanded the truth, asking if he had gotten some girl pregnant, and didn't hesitate to smack him lightly and kick him in frustration. Max tried to explain that it wasn't what she was thinking, but she brushed it off, warning him that nothing good ever came from situations like this. She added that she didn't have time to deal with him properly at the moment, then led the way inside. As he followed her, he glanced at the room number and froze. It was the exact same one mentioned in the call. His head started spinning as everything began connecting in the worst possible way. When he stepped into the room, he saw Jiang Wan lying there. At the same moment, she looked up and saw him too. Her face instantly turned pale with shock. With his mother's earlier words and the scene in front of him, the truth finally became clear. His mother's best friend and Jiang Wan were the same person. His mom didn't notice the tension between them and kept talking casually. She complained that her friend had terrible luck with men, saying the baby was about to be born and the father hadn't shown up or taken any responsibility. She called him useless and warned her son not to ever become someone like that. While she continued lecturing, Max and Jiang Wan quietly exchanged looks, both clearly remembering that night. It slowly hit them at the same time. It was each other. Neither of them had imagined that the person from that night would turn out to be connected like this. Jiang Wan felt her face heat up with embarrassment, finding the situation deeply humiliating. Trying to avoid making things worse, Max carefully said he needed to explain something. He hesitated, then admitted in a roundabout way that he was the man being criticized. His mom, who had just taken a sip of water, almost choked in shock. She couldn't believe the person she had been cursing this whole time was her own son. Jiang Wan, feeling awkward under the questioning look, slowly confirmed it. She admitted that the child she was carrying was indeed Max's. That completely stunned his mom. She struggled to process how her own son could be the same person she had been calling irresponsible for so long. She questioned how she could have raised him like that, frustrated that he hadn't shown any concern throughout the pregnancy and only appeared at the last moment. Her anger was about to boil over when a nurse walked in, asking if the family had arrived. Seeing the situation, the nurse suddenly recognized Max and reacted with surprise, asking if he was the father. At that moment, he realized she was actually his cousin who worked there. With no way to avoid it, he awkwardly confirmed. His cousin was shocked by the entire situation, finding it hard to believe that her aunt's son and her aunt's best friend were involved like this. Then she casually dropped another surprise, mentioning that he was about to become the father of triplets. That news hit him even harder. He hadn't even fully processed everything else, and now this added another layer of shock. Before he could react properly, the medical team began preparing for surgery. Max and his mom followed the hospital bed all the way to the operating room until the doors closed. After that, they were left standing in silence, staring at each other. He tried to quickly come up with an explanation, attempting to calm the situation, but his mom didn't give him time. She grabbed his arm and pulled him into the hallway, demanding that he explain everything properly. His mom demanded to hear everything. making it clear she wasn't going to let it go. With no way out, Max explained the whole situation from beginning to end, carefully avoiding the more awkward details. As she listened, she couldn't help but feel uneasy, thinking that young people these days were way too careless. She asked if he really hadn't known it was Jongwon that night. He insisted he had no idea and swore that if he had known she was his mom's best friend, he would never have let things happen. His mom immediately shot back that it didn't change the fact that it still happened, leaving him with nothing to say. After about 2 hours, the operating room doors finally opened. His mom rushed forward the moment she saw the doctor. The news came quickly. Jongwon had given birth to triplets, 2 girls and 1 boy, and all of them were safe. The moment his mom saw the babies, her face lit up with pure excitement. She couldn't believe she had become a grandmother at 48, and in such an unexpected way. It felt so unreal that it was hard to imagine even as a story. She was overjoyed, and Max felt the same, though a bit overwhelmed. Watching her carefully hold the babies like precious treasures made him want to try, too. He asked if he could hold them, but he hesitated because they looked so small and fragile. His mom guided him step by step, showing him how to properly hold them. After a bit of practice, he slowly got comfortable. One by one, he held the 3 babies and gently kissed their foreheads. In that quiet moment, it finally sank in. He had become a father. His mom immediately scolded him, saying he shouldn't be kissing them so casually because of germs, worried about the baby's safety. At that moment, it felt like something strange happened in his mind, as if a sudden wave of knowledge appeared out of nowhere. Instantly, he understood everything about taking care of children, almost like an expert. Soon after, Jang Wan was wheeled out of the operating room. She looked pale and exhausted, with sweat still on her forehead. His mom rushed over, asking if she was okay. Jongwon reassured her softly that she was fine. His mom repeated it to herself in relief, clearly happy not just about the babies, but also worried about her friend. Max stepped closer and spoke politely, acknowledging her effort. Jongwon didn't know how to respond and seemed slightly nervous seeing him there. The atmosphere felt awkward, so his mom stepped in, signaling that they could talk later. They brought her back to the ward, and once they were inside, his mom turned serious. She told Max directly that he needed to take responsibility and proposed to Jangwon right away, reminding him that she had carried those babies for 10 months. His mom continued firmly, saying Jongwon had gone through a lot because of her condition and the fact that she was carrying triplets. She had refused to abort and even ended up distancing herself from her own family. She pointed out that all that suffering was connected to him and told him he needed to act responsibly. In her eyes, Jangwon was like family, and she made it clear she wouldn't tolerate him acting heartless. Max could see how serious she was. He admitted honestly that he would take responsibility and explained that he truly hadn't known the situation before. He insisted he hadn't meant to act irresponsibly. While trying to explain himself, he added that he personally didn't have any issue with stepping up. Before the conversation could go further, Jongwon softly asked for the babies to be brought closer so she could see them. Max's mom moved the bassinet beside her. Even though she was still weak from the procedure, Jongwon pushed herself up slightly, looking at the 3 babies with clear affection in her eyes. Watching from the side, Max found himself distracted by how she looked. Even tired and pale, she still had a strong presence that was hard to ignore. His thoughts were cut off when his mom suddenly pulled him out of the room. She questioned his attitude, asking if he thought Jongwon wasn't good enough for him, or if he was hesitating to take responsibility. He quickly clarified that he hadn't said anything like that. He explained that the situation didn't depend only on him, it also depended on what Jongwon wanted, and he couldn't just decide everything on his own. Hearing that, his mom paused and admitted that it made sense. She realized that even if he agreed, it wouldn't matter if Jongwon didn't feel the same. Still, she clearly liked the idea of having her best friend become part of the family. After thinking for a moment, she pulled out a bank card and handed it to him, telling him to handle the hospital fees and complete all the necessary procedures. He accepted it without hesitation. At that moment, it felt like things were shifting again, as if he had just gained something unexpectedly valuable. Meanwhile, inside the room, his mom returned to Jongwon's side and began talking to her seriously, trying to guide her through what should happen next. His mom tried to lighten the mood, joking that a slightly older woman brings good fortune, and since Jongwon was only a few years older, it wasn't a big deal at all. She kept encouraging her, clearly hoping she would agree. Jongwon still looked unsure. She brought up a practical concern, wondering how things would even work if they lived together later, especially how they would address each other. Hearing that, his mom immediately became excited, feeling like she was starting to accept the idea. She brushed it off, saying those small details could be handled easily and didn't need to be overthought. At that moment, his cousin's son, who worked as a nurse, walked in to guide them on post-birth care. When she saw the 3 babies, she couldn't hide her excitement and quickly shifted to practical questions, asking Jiang Wan about feeding. Jiang Wan hesitated, admitting she hadn't started yet. Sun explained calmly that the first milk was very important, especially for newborns, and even more so for triplets, since they were smaller and needed extra nutrition. She gently handed one of the babies to Jiang Wan and encouraged her to try. Jiang Wan felt a bit awkward and unsure, clearly not fully adjusted to being a mother yet. Sun reassured her that it was normal at the beginning and told her to just let the baby try, explaining that things would come naturally with time. After a moment of hesitation, Jiang Wan followed the suggestion. Max's mom watched closely, a little too interested, as if seeing a completely new side of her longtime friend. To her, it felt like something surprisingly unfamiliar, yet meaningful. However, even after trying for a while, things didn't work out, and the babies soon started crying loudly, clearly hungry. Jiang Wan looked embarrassed, feeling like she had failed at something important. Sun quickly comforted her again, explaining that it often takes time and there was nothing unusual about it. His mom stepped in to calm the crying babies, gently soothing them and deciding to prepare formula instead. She took out the bottle and began getting things ready. Max had just returned after finishing the payment and offered to help. Jiang Wan instinctively turned away slightly while he quickly focused on preparing the formula. He handled it smoothly and efficiently, finishing in no time. His mom watched with surprise, not expecting him to know how to do it so well. Even Jiang Wan seemed a bit impressed, starting to feel that maybe he wasn't as unreliable as she had first thought. But almost immediately, her thoughts drifted back to everything that had happened before, and the complicated feelings returned. He recalled what had happened earlier and couldn't help but think that his behavior back then had been pretty careless. After some time, Jiang Wan slowly relaxed and wasn't as shy as before. Still, whenever she looked at him, she felt a bit uneasy. The memory of that night made things awkward, and the embarrassment felt even stronger now. Sun, standing nearby, noticed everything and quietly smiled to herself before returning to a professional expression. After giving a few final instructions to his mom, she left the room. Jiang Wan, already exhausted, gradually drifted off to sleep. His mom then said she was going to prepare some proper recovery food for Jiang Wan and told Max to stay back and look after both her and the babies. She warned him seriously not to do anything inappropriate. He agreed without hesitation. Left alone, he looked at Jiang Wan sleeping peacefully and let out a quiet sigh. It all felt unreal. He had just graduated, and somehow now he was connected to someone he once admired from afar, and on top of that, he had become a father of 3. He sat there quietly, watching her. Even in sleep, she still had that calm, striking presence that made it hard to look away. After about an hour, his mom returned with freshly prepared food and gently offered it to Jiang Wan, explaining that it might be simple, but was meant to help her recover. The smell made Max realize how hungry he was. He casually complained that she had forgotten about him. His mom reacted with surprise, realizing she had only been thinking about Jiang Wan and hadn't brought anything for him. She told him to go downstairs and eat something himself. With no choice, he left the ward, ate at the cafeteria, and came back afterward. By then, his mom was getting ready to leave, saying she had work to handle. Before going, she reminded him again to take good care of Jiang Wan and not trouble her. He responded jokingly that if he failed, she could punish him however she wanted. She gave him a sharp look, then turned to Jiang Wan and spoke gently, telling her to let her know if he caused any trouble and to not hesitate to ask him to do anything she needed. Max couldn't take it anymore and quickly pushed his mom out, stopping her from saying more. Back in the room, Jiang Wan spoke first, saying that he and his mom were quite entertaining to watch. He smiled a little awkwardly, admitting that this was just how they usually interacted. She mentioned that it seemed like they had a really close bond, and there was a slight hint of admiration in her voice. As they continued talking casually, the earlier tension between them slowly faded, making things feel a bit more natural. With her natural condition and his support, Jiang Wan gradually managed to start feeding properly. Around the same time, it felt like something unusual triggered again for Max, as if he had gained another unexpected reward. He stepped into the restroom, and suddenly a strong surge of energy rushed through his body. It spread everywhere, followed by sharp pain, almost like his muscles and bones were being reshaped. Within a short time, he was sweating heavily. When he looked in the mirror, even he was surprised. His physique had completely changed, well-defined muscles, a lean build, and a noticeably sharper appearance overall. The next morning around 6, his mom arrived with breakfast, full of energy as usual. Jongwon was already awake, while Max, who had stayed up all night, took a moment to rest. The breakfast his mom brought was quite generous. Jongwon didn't hold back, knowing she needed proper nutrition, and politely thanked her. His mom brushed it off and casually asked if Max had caused any trouble the previous night. Jongwon quickly denied it, but as she thought about everything, her face turned slightly red. She glanced toward Max and noticed the change in him, feeling a bit surprised at how different he looked. Max, hearing the conversation, felt a bit annoyed and pointed out that he wouldn't cause trouble for no reason. His mom just smiled and handed him his portion, telling him to eat while it was still warm. After she left, the room became much quieter. Not long after, a nurse came in for morning rounds. Max was surprised to recognize her. It was Liu Ran, someone from his past. She also didn't expect to see him there and walked over with clear excitement. They had known each other years ago, and things had ended simply because they were young and didn't fully understand their feelings back then. Now, after so much time had passed, she couldn't help but notice how much he had changed. Seeing him again stirred something familiar in her. She approached him naturally, almost reaching out like she used to, but he subtly stepped back, avoiding contact. The moment felt slightly awkward, though she quickly moved past it. He asked if she was on duty, and she confirmed it, mentioning that the schedule had been arranged the day before. Even though she noticed his reaction, she didn't press the matter further and continued with her work. Given their past, her cold reaction toward him made sense. Liu Ran noticed the 3 babies beside him and was immediately surprised. She commented on how rare it was to see triplets and asked whose children they were. Max awkwardly admitted they were his. She froze, clearly not believing it. She asked if he was married. He said no. That only confused her more. How could he not be married and still have children? He calmly confirmed that they were indeed his biological kids. Her expression changed instantly. The timing didn't make sense to her. He had just graduated, so how could he already have children? He brushed it off, saying situations like this weren't unheard of. Inside, she felt shaken. She remembered how deeply he had cared about her in the past, and it bothered her that things had changed so quickly. Still, she tried to convince herself that since he wasn't married and everything seemed unplanned, there might still be a chance. With that thought, she straightened herself and approached the woman on the bed. But the moment she saw Jongwon clearly, her confidence dropped. Jongwon's presence and appearance were overwhelming, to the point where Liu Ran couldn't help but compare herself and feel inferior. Realizing the gap between them, she quickly finished her routine checkup, asked a few basic questions about the mother and babies, and left in a hurry. Staying any longer would have only made her more uncomfortable. After she left, Max quietly felt relieved. If his mom had witnessed that scene, it would have definitely turned into another lecture. When he turned back, he noticed Jongwon looking slightly confused while feeding the babies again. He pointed out that they had just been fed not long ago. She replied that she was just worried they might still be hungry. In reality, she knew they had already eaten, but she had her own reasons for doing it, especially after seeing Liu Ran earlier. Max didn't think much of it and simply advised her not to overfeed them, explaining that too much at once could cause discomfort for the babies. That afternoon, his mom came back to the hospital again. Just as she was about to enter the ward, someone called out to her from behind. When she turned around, she was surprised to see Liu Ran in her nurse uniform. She recognized her immediately. Back when Max and Liu Ran were together, she had visited their house a few times. That relationship had caused a lot of drama. Max had refused to break up, acting emotionally, making big promises, and even threatening extreme things. His mom had been furious back then and had disciplined him harshly, and his dad had nearly stepped in as well. So seeing Liu Ran again made her uneasy, wondering if her son had caused trouble again. After Liu Ran left, she went straight to Max with a serious expression and questioned him directly, asking if he had been involved with her again. He instantly got nervous and denied it, saying that with everything going on now, he wouldn't dare do anything like that. She warned him firmly that he was no longer a kid and needed to act responsibly. If he ever hurt Jongwon in the future, there would be consequences. Before she could finish, he jokingly completed her sentence, knowing exactly what she meant. She laughed slightly, satisfied that he understood. She then placed fruits and supplements by the bedside and started giving them to Jongwon. Max peeked into the bag and noticed something he liked, asking if he could have some. His mom glared at him for a second before allowing it, and he happily took them. Even then, something was still bothering him. His dad didn't know anything yet. When he brought it up, his mom sighed and reminded him that his dad was still recovering from surgery. She hinted that his reaction wouldn't be calm once he found out. That thought immediately made Max anxious. He knew his dad's temper well, and even in recovery, it wouldn't stop him from reacting strongly. Right then, his phone rang. Seeing it was his dad calling, he panicked and tried to pass the phone to his mom. She refused, telling him to answer it himself. With no choice, he picked up the call. His dad's voice came through, direct as always, asking if he had been causing any trouble lately. Max quickly responded, saying he had been focused on working and doing things properly. He tried to sound confident, saying he didn't even have time to get into trouble. His dad snorted on the other end, saying he didn't think his son had the guts anyway. Then, he casually mentioned that someone had called earlier claiming Max had gotten his mom's best friend pregnant and that she had even given birth to 3 babies for him. His dad had dismissed it immediately, calling it nonsense and insisting his son wouldn't do something like that. Hearing this, Max felt a wave of guilt, but quickly went along with it, agreeing that such a thing sounded ridiculous. Standing beside him, his mom just rolled her eyes at the act. Before ending the call, his dad reminded him to always address his mom's friend properly as Aunt, emphasizing the age difference and warning him not to mess that up unless he wanted trouble. After the call ended, Max looked at his mom, unsure of what to do next. She simply shrugged and said there was no changing things now. Everything had already happened. She joked that when the time came, they should just put the babies in front of his dad and see whether he would hug his grandchildren first or get angry. That idea instantly made Max feel a bit relieved. The next day, Sun came to check on Jongwon and confirmed that she could be discharged soon. His mom was thrilled at the thought of finally bringing the babies home. Jongwon also felt relieved, since staying in the hospital had been inconvenient despite the care she was receiving. Max, however, felt nervous. Going home meant eventually facing his dad, and that thought alone made him uneasy. At the same time, it felt like something forced him into a difficult position again, as if he had no choice but to face the situation directly. Meanwhile, his mom suggested that Jongwon should move in with them after discharge so she and the babies could be properly cared for. Jongwon hesitated at first, but eventually agreed. His mom was clearly happy with that outcome, but Max felt a bit overwhelmed by how fast things were moving. Seeing his reaction, his mom misunderstood and got annoyed, thinking he wasn't happy about it. He quickly clarified that he was only worried about whether Jongwon would agree, not that he had any objections. His mom scolded him lightly and told him not to act ungrateful. With no better option, he accepted the arrangement. After giving a few more instructions, she left to handle other matters. Max sat quietly in the ward, feeling a mix of emotions about everything that had happened. Right then, it felt like something new had just arrived for him, as if another unexpected development was waiting outside. He finally remembered the car he had received earlier. Heading down to the underground parking, he found a brand new BMW X7 waiting there. After getting in, adjusting the seat, and starting the engine, he drove out of the hospital. On the way, he stopped at a convenience store to grab some water. As he stepped out, he noticed someone familiar, his ex, Su-mu. She was dressed up heavily and holding onto the arm of a middle-aged man. The moment she saw him, her expression turned cold, and she accused him of following her. She made it clear they were over, and proudly mentioned her new boyfriend, saying he treated her well. Max felt annoyed and denied it, asking how she even came to that conclusion. She scoffed, saying that looks didn't matter anymore and that money was what counted. She pointed at the car nearby, bragging about what her new boyfriend had bought for her. He sighed, unimpressed, and casually threw back a remark that hit a nerve. That instantly made her furious, and the man beside her also got angry, stepping in to insult him. Max didn't bother arguing further. He simply turned around and walked toward his own car. Before leaving, he tossed out one last sarcastic comment, then got into his BMW X7 and drove off. Behind him, both of them stood there in shock, watching as the car disappeared. Their expressions turned sour, clearly not expecting that outcome. Driving away, Max felt a sense of relief. Breaking up with her had definitely been the right decision. When he returned to the hospital, he stopped outside the ward, his heart racing. His dad had arrived earlier than expected. Even though his mom had warned him, he still felt nervous thinking about what might happen next. Trying to stay calm, he greeted his dad and asked why he hadn't informed him beforehand, but his dad didn't respond and walked straight into the room. Max followed quietly, bracing himself. Inside, his dad looked around and quickly noticed the 3 babies. The moment he saw them, his expression changed. He walked closer, gently picked one up, and his face softened, his eyes filling with warmth as he held the child. His dad looked at the babies and quietly admitted that there really were 3 of them, sounding a bit surprised, but not upset. Seeing the moment, Max quickly explained that everything had been an accident, that he hadn't been thinking clearly at the time, but promised he would take responsibility and handle things properly. His dad didn't respond right away. After holding the baby for a while, he stood up and asked Max to follow him. That instantly made Max nervous. He knew something serious was coming. They stepped into an empty room nearby, and his dad closed the door. With a stern look, he stared at him for a moment. Max's hands were already sweating, expecting the worst. But instead of getting angry, his dad took out a bank card and handed it over. Max was completely caught off guard. His dad explained that it held a large amount of money, part of the family's savings, and told him to use it to buy a house. His tone softened as he reminded him that he was no longer a kid and now had responsibilities. He made it clear that Max needed to take care of Jongwon and the children properly and formalize everything as soon as possible. Hearing that, Max felt deeply moved. Despite his dad's usual temper, at important moments, he always supported him in his own way. Just when Max thought the moment was over, his dad suddenly pulled out his belt, joking that he still needed to maintain some authority. Before Max could react, he got hit a few times. It stung, but his dad was laughing at the same time, clearly not doing it out of anger. He even joked that although Max had messed up, at least he had given him grandchildren all at once. Oddly enough, after that, Max felt lighter. The tension he had been carrying disappeared. The way his dad handled it made it clear that, despite everything, he accepted the situation and was standing by him. When they returned to the ward, both his mom and Jong-won looked worried. His mom relaxed when she saw he was fine, though she still couldn't help but complain a little about how things were handled. His mom reacted immediately, upset that his dad had actually hit him. Max just smiled it off without explaining. Jang-won, still a bit shy, quietly asked if he was all right. He nodded, feeling unexpectedly warm inside. Even though everything had started as a mess, with both his parents supporting him now, the future didn't feel so uncertain anymore. He started thinking seriously about taking care of her and the kids and stepping up properly. Suddenly his mom noticed something wrong and pointed out there was blood. His dad, who was happily holding the babies, looked down and realized his surgical wound had reopened slightly. Son quickly came over to check and confirmed that the incision had split and needed attention. His dad brushed it off casually, saying it wasn't serious, and even tried to pick up another baby. That immediately triggered his mom's anger. She scolded him for being careless after just having surgery and demanded he go see a doctor. He resisted at first, clearly not wanting to leave the babies, but she didn't give him a choice and dragged him away. The whole scene left everyone speechless. Max could only shake his head and joke that his dad was completely under his mom's control. Jongwon smiled at that and playfully asked if he would be the same in the future. He responded that he preferred a more relaxed life and didn't want too much control. Then he brought up something practical. He mentioned the money his dad had given him and said he was supposed to buy a house, though he wasn't sure how far that amount would go. He asked what she thought. She replied simply that she didn't have high expectations. He teased her, asking if she would still stay with him even in a terrible place. She rolled her eyes and answered honestly. She didn't mind struggling a bit, but the children shouldn't have to suffer. He laughed and assured her that wouldn't happen. Son, who was nearby, couldn't help reacting to their exchange, commenting that they seemed quite compatible. Then she reminded Max to pay attention and make sure he remembered all the care instructions for Jiang-wan after she left the hospital. He confidently said he remembered the instructions, avoiding heavy activity, maintaining hygiene, and keeping the wound dry. When asked what else, he paused and couldn't come up with anything more. Son raised an eyebrow and added the missing part in a straightforward tone, explaining that there was a recovery period and any physical closeness should only happen with proper care and consent. He smiled awkwardly, saying he already understood. She teased him lightly, but clarified she was just giving medical advice and making sure they didn't act recklessly. After getting things ready for discharge, he received a call from his mom. She informed him that his dad's condition wasn't as minor as he had claimed. After cleaning the wound, he needed proper treatment and an IV. His mom complained about him being careless, while his dad could only laugh it off. Soon after, Son returned with gifts, a generous red envelope, and a specialized stroller for the triplets. Max was surprised by how much effort she had put into it and felt it was too much, but she brushed it off casually, joking that there would be even more in the future. Jiangwan looked confused at that, and Sun teased them again, implying that since they already had children, marriage should naturally follow. Max laughed and accepted the gift, appreciating her kindness. After she left, the two of them spent some quiet time with the babies, placing them in the stroller, playing with them, and feeding them before getting ready to leave. Just then, Liu Ran showed up with a smaller gift and offered her congratulations as an old acquaintance. The situation felt awkward for Max, but Jiangwan calmly stepped in and suggested he accept it politely. He quickly followed her lead and thanked Liu Ran. Seeing the two of them together like that made Liu Ran visibly uncomfortable. She forced a few polite words and left soon after. Once she was gone, Max teased Jiangwan about how she had addressed him earlier. She immediately denied it, her face turning slightly red, saying it was only said in that moment and didn't mean anything beyond that. He continued joking about it, clearly enjoying her reaction. He kept teasing her, asking how many minutes it actually was. Jiangwan understood what he meant right away, and her face turned even redder. She told him to stop, calling his thoughts inappropriate, and said she didn't want to talk to him anymore. He just laughed it off. After that, he thought about what to do with Liu Ran's gift. Jiangwan calmed down and said they should keep it since it was given with good intentions. She pointed out that the money and the fruit were still useful, so there was no reason to waste them. Soon, Sun finished her work and came over to help. Since Jiangwan still couldn't walk much, they arranged a wheelchair to take her downstairs. At the hospital entrance, Max simply picked her up to carry her. Sun smiled at the scene, while Jiangwan felt a bit uncomfortable again. A few seconds later, something clicked in her mind. When she realized his phone was actually in his hand and not where she had assumed, her face turned bright red. She quickly broke free from his arms, clearly flustered. He was confused and asked what happened, but she angrily said she had just run into a pervert. He didn't understand at all since he had been the one holding her. When he tried to ask further, she refused to explain and insisted on walking by herself. Even though it was slow, she continued walking on her own. At one point, she glanced at him again and immediately looked away, her face still red, as if she had realized something embarrassing. Meanwhile, things felt strangely smooth for Max again, as if even small moments were somehow benefiting him. Sun then asked about his dad. Max explained that his dad was on an IV and his mom was with him, so things should be fine. When asked about the seriousness, he replied with a helpless smile that his dad still insisted it wasn't a big deal. Sun laughed, saying that sounded exactly like him. Just then, with a sharp sound, his parents arrived in their old car. Despite its age, it was still running fine. His dad called out energetically, saying the timing was perfect and that he would drive them home. It turned out his dad had gone to another hospital for treatment after his wound reopened. The doctor had scolded him for being careless, but he still brushed it off in his usual way, acting like it wasn't anything serious, even making the doctor laugh. After some pushing from his mom, his dad finally agreed to proper treatment and an IV. Once it was done, he still insisted on driving everyone back. The doctor said it was fine, so his mom reluctantly allowed it, though she clearly wasn't happy. His dad joked about their old car, saying it had served the family well for years. Ever since he found out about the 3 grandchildren, his mood had completely changed. He seemed energized and cheerful about everything. Max stopped him and said there was no need since he had a car. That immediately made his dad skeptical. To prove it, Max walked over to a nearby BMW X7 and unlocked it. The lights flashing caught everyone's attention, and they were all stunned. His dad couldn't believe it, asking how he could afford such an expensive car right after graduation. Max brushed it off casually, making it sound normal, which only made his dad more speechless. Despite the shock, they quickly loaded the babies and everything else into his car. His mom also got in, leaving his dad's old car behind. After a short drive, they arrived at a high-end residential complex. Seeing the place, his parents were visibly surprised and asked if he really lived there. Max confirmed that he had an apartment there and that he owned it. That made them even more suspicious. Coming from a normal background, they found it hard to believe he could afford such things so quickly. His dad even asked directly if he was relying on someone wealthy. His mom added that he shouldn't take shortcuts. Max denied it and, to clear their doubts, showed them proof, documents for the house, the car, and his financial records. Everything checked out, and it reassured them. His dad immediately became proud, praising him for both his success and the unexpected addition to the family. His mom also felt relieved, but then suddenly remembered something and hit him lightly, complaining that he had taken money from them earlier. Max laughed and explained that he had only been holding on to it temporarily, then returned both cards, showing that he didn't actually need the money anymore. He argued back, saying it wasn't really scamming since they were the ones forcing the money on him. His dad immediately countered, asking why he accepted it in the first place. Max laughed and explained that he had tried to refuse, but they didn't believe him and would have made a bigger issue out of it if he didn't take it. Then he changed the topic and said that after all their hard work over the years, he wanted to give them something in return. He handed over a property deed and keys, saying the apartment was for them. Both of his parents were shocked and instinctively refused, saying it was unnecessary and a waste of money. Still, despite their words, they quietly accepted the documents, clearly touched. Jiang Wan looked around the apartment with curiosity and asked if it really belonged to him. He confirmed it casually and asked her opinion. She admitted it was nice, then teased him for hiding his financial situation so well. He joked back, saying she would have plenty of time to discover more about him. She blushed slightly, but pretended not to care. She then pointed out that he had just gifted his parents an apartment in a prime location. He admitted she must have overheard, and she commented that he was quite filial. He proudly agreed, but when she asked why his parents weren't living here instead, he struggled to answer. Eventually, he admitted they wouldn't be comfortable there, and that he also wanted his own space. She smiled knowingly, teasing that his filial piety had its limits. Meanwhile, his dad was busy trying to take care of one of the babies. Max suggested letting his mom handle it, but his dad refused, insisting he could manage. However, midway through, the baby suddenly peed on him. Instead of getting upset, his dad laughed it off, taking it as a sign of closeness, and even joking about it. Later, Max offered to cook lunch. His mom immediately doubted him, saying his cooking used to be terrible. His dad added to it, teasing him even more and making it clear they didn't expect much from his cooking skills. He let out a helpless sigh and said he would just try once. If it turned out bad, they could take over. His mom agreed reluctantly. Once inside the kitchen, he started cooking seriously. The first dish came together quickly, simple stir-fried pork, but done with surprising speed and precision. In no time, it was ready, looking and smelling far better than expected. While he was cooking, his mom kept reminding him to treat Jiangwan well, saying she had gone through a lot for their family. He acknowledged it, already thinking that he needed to make the meal worth it. By the time she looked back properly, he had already finished one dish and even prepared another. She was surprised at how fast everything was done. When he asked her to taste it, she picked up her chopsticks and tried the pork. The moment she tasted it, her expression changed completely. It was far beyond anything she expected. She tried the other dish too, and it was just as impressive. Even something simple tasted unusually good. When he asked how it was, she didn't respond immediately, just kept eating. Then she admitted it was extremely good and asked when he had learned to cook like that. He brushed it off casually, saying he had practiced on his own. She didn't fully believe him and teased him for showing off. Still, she quickly took some of the food to let his dad try it as well. Meanwhile, he continued cooking, preparing more dishes one after another, everything coming out smoothly. A little later, his mom rushed back, saying his dad had already finished the dish she took and was asking for more. He laughed, finding it funny how quickly his dad had eaten it. He agreed to make another portion and asked what his dad thought about the cooking. His mom replied with a joke. Earlier, even animals wouldn't care for his cooking, but now it was so good it left people stunned. With the baby born, Jiangwan discharged, and everyone settling into the new place, the atmosphere felt like a proper celebration. Under his mom's guidance, he prepared a full table of food, making the moment feel even more complete. Seeing the table full of dishes, his dad's eyes lit up instantly. If his mom hadn't been watching him, he would have already started eating. She smiled and told Jiangwan that this was their first proper family meal together, and that Max had cooked everything. She urged her to try it. Jiangwan had just come out after resting. Looking at the spread, she was clearly surprised and asked if he really made all of it. He confirmed with a smile and told her to taste it. She picked up a bite of stir-fried vegetables first, and the moment she tasted it, she couldn't hide her reaction. One dish after another, she kept trying everything. The flavors were so good that she was genuinely impressed. She admitted she hadn't expected his cooking to be this good, and said it completely changed how she saw him. He didn't act modest at all, and joked that he had always said he had plenty of good qualities. Seeing her enjoy the food so much, his parents kept adding more to her plate until it was completely full. She tried to stop them, saying it was too much, but now she felt like she could actually finish it. Meanwhile, his dad had completely taken over the smashed cucumbers, eating them with obvious satisfaction. He kept going on about how he had never tasted something like that before, almost joking that he had wasted years without it. Watching everyone enjoy the food gave Max a strong sense of satisfaction. After cooking all morning, he was hungry too, so he finally sat down and started eating, clearly pleased with his own work. In the middle of the meal, his dad suddenly brought up something important: naming the children. Jong-won admitted they hadn't decided yet and were still thinking about it. His dad immediately said that was something that shouldn't be delayed and offered to help, at least with nicknames. His mom quickly stepped in, rejecting the idea right away, warning him not to come up with strange or outdated names. His dad laughed it off, but still tried, saying he wanted meaningful names. He started suggesting ideas, beginning with the eldest son and then moving on to the daughters, clearly enjoying the moment. His dad seriously suggested nicknames for the kids, and surprisingly, everyone felt they were decent. Both Max and Jong-won agreed, and seeing that, his dad was clearly happy. He then passed the responsibility of choosing proper names back to them. After going through options for a while, they finally decided. The boy would have a strong, steady name, while the two girls would have names reflecting warmth and charm. Both of them contributed ideas, and once they said them out loud, his parents immediately approved. With everyone in agreement, the names were finally settled. After dinner, his parents got ready to leave. Before going, his mom pulled Max aside and gave him a long, serious talk. She told him that once they started living together, he needed to be patient and considerate. She reminded him that Jong-won had just gone through a lot and that he should take care of her properly, avoid unnecessary arguments, and not act carelessly. Max tried to brush it off, but she didn't let him escape so easily, even twisting his ear to make sure he was listening. He quickly gave in, complaining a bit, but still agreeing. After seeing his parents off, he turned back and found Jong-won laughing at the whole scene. When he asked why, she said it was funny seeing him get treated like that. He joked back, saying she shouldn't laugh too much because her turn might come someday. Later that evening, Jong-won woke up and saw him feeding the babies. She asked why he hadn't woken her. He explained that she had been sleeping too deeply and didn't want to disturb her. She didn't argue further and quietly took over, feeding the babies herself. Afterward, when he asked what she wanted for dinner, she gave a vague answer, saying anything was fine. He jokingly suggested ordering takeout, but she immediately rejected the idea, pointing out that during recovery, proper food was important. He laughed and agreed, understanding that it was better to be careful in this situation. He asked her to choose, saying he would cook whatever she wanted. After thinking for a bit, she said she had been craving fish and suggested sweet and sour fish. He asked if that alone was enough, then added garlic shrimp himself. She agreed, but when he kept suggesting more, she quickly tried to stop him, saying she wouldn't be able to eat too much and didn't want food to go to waste. He smiled, went out to buy ingredients, and about an hour later, dinner was ready. When Jong-won saw the table, she was surprised by how much he had prepared. She asked how many dishes he had actually made. He explained that not everything was for one meal and said he had just kept things simple for dinner. She smiled helplessly and sat down to eat. On a video call, his mom watched and couldn't help reacting to how good everything looked. She kept commenting on the food and wondered when his cooking had improved so much. Jong-won laughed while eating and said his skills had improved rapidly, adding that everything he made tasted great. His mom immediately said she wanted to come over soon, both to try the food and to see the babies again. Jong-won agreed warmly. After the call ended, she continued eating while he stayed busy in the kitchen. The aroma from the grilled food spread through the room, even catching the attention of the babies, who started making small sounds. Soon, he brought out a large plate of freshly grilled skewers and placed it in front of her. She was surprised by the amount and said she couldn't finish it all. He told her to eat comfortably and said he would handle whatever was left. She picked one up and took a bite, instantly reacting to the flavor. She praised his cooking again, clearly impressed. He responded confidently, joking about his skills. When she asked where he learned it, he gave a vague answer, saying he figured it out himself. She rolled her eyes, knowing he was just showing off again.